show. Wait, Leslie Rob said what? What? Leslie Rob said what? What she said? What? Leslie Rob said what?
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Leslie Said What. Y'all, listen, I didn't comb my hair back. And if for those of you who are watching versus listening, my hair look a hot mess. So I'm straightening it up for you guys. I'm straightening it up for you. Okay, anyway, here we go. All right, guys, I am so excited for season 5. I was going to say 2. I'm taking us way back, guys. All right, season 5. This is episode 3, guys. Can you believe we're in 5 seasons? It's been 5 seasons of Leslie Said What? Crazy. No, I know. But guys, as per usual, feel free to join the conversation via the comments so that you guys can ask all your questions, because tonight's topic is a great one for teachers. It is top tips for using AI in the classroom. And I brought in the expert himself, guys, the CEO of Eduaide.Ai, Mr. Thompson. Okay, he is a teacher. Okay, and he is a huge contributor of AI for the classroom. So I brought him in to talk to us about top tips for using AI in the classroom. And so without further ado, I'm not going to waste the time away. You guys know I don't do that. I'm going to bring him on, Mr. Thompson. Hey, Mr. Thompson.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, no, thank you so much for being here, because AI, okay, is like essential and people just need to get it. And I know that like I'm kind of biased because I love Eduaide. Okay, I love Eduaide.ai. So I am huge supporter and a huge fan. So thank you so much for taking time to be here.
Of course. Again, thank you so much for having us. We're like nothing without people using our platform. So,
yeah,
folks talking about it. Very happy to hear that.
Oh gosh, we're like, yeah, it's amazing. Seriously, you guys are killing it. Okay, so tell us, okay, introduce yourself. Who is Mr. Thompson?
Well, you introduced me as an expert, and I wish I could say I was. I'm learning like the rest of us, but I hope maybe we can avoid some of the mistakes I've made by just kind of sharing them and calling them out, because I think with AI, not everything is completely obvious. There's definitely some learning curves that you need to get through, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm a classroom teacher, social studies, middle school, hence the rambling. And I am also a co-founder and CEO at Eduaide.Ai, newly minted husband, and have a dog. That's about it. See, not an expert, just normal like everyone else.
Hey, we'll take it. The best experts are normal. Okay. So,
yes. Well, yeah. That's true.
Oh my gosh. Well, like I said, I am just super excited to dive into this topic, because a lot of people get apprehensive, especially some teachers. They get apprehensive about using AI. But we will get to that in just a second. So first of all, tell us. Okay, so here's the best part, guys. If you did not know this, the CEOs, both of them, of Eduaide.ai are still active teachers. Am I correct?
Thomas Hummel, active teacher. He's going back to the classroom this year. I finished out the year in June, and now I'm going full time on the Eduaide stuff. It's taking more attention and more, more of my hours.
Yeah. Well, and the best part about it, though, is it's great because you guys are fresh teachers. You know what I mean? It's not like stuff that's going to be dated that we don't, that
Thomas Hummel's still in the classroom. He's staying. Yeah, he's not leaving. He loves to stay.
He's still like legit. Yeah. We're grateful.
He wants to keep a foot in the classroom. His whole thing is like, if I leave the classroom, we're going to lose that like touch of like, what do kids need? What do teachers need? Like, what are the common complaints we hear in the hallways with staff members? Like, he really likes to keep a foot in the door there.
Oh, well, that's actually good, especially since you guys literally, and like he said, guys, they're co-founders. So the best part about it is you have one in the classroom and one working full time on it, which is a great balance.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be necessary. So that's awesome. Glad to hear it. All right. So Mr. Thompson, what brought you to teaching?
Teachers, my 3 of them, particularly my 11th grade English and world history teacher.
That's awesome.
Mr. Canciello's 11th grade English. We had a project where we were able to like teach the class, and I was like, all right, I'll do that one. It sounds fun. I did it. His rubric, his comments were like, you might want to look into teaching as a career. And then Mr. Clare heard about that, and I then became his apprentice my senior year. I shadowed him, made his copies, took notes on his teaching techniques, thought about, education outside of the perspective of being a student.
Yeah.
No one really ever tells you why you're in school when you're a kid. My parent, you get different answers from different people, right?
Yeah.
My dad was like, You go to school so you can go to college and get a good job and not have to work 3 jobs like I do, right? So that was my dad's thing. My mom was like, you can go to school because you can be excellent at school, and like that should be enough in and of itself. But Mr. Clare was like, thought of education as this broader social, political, economic lever, which is like the world needs this kind of built-in sustainability. We have all this knowledge that gets passed down, but how does it get passed down? And how do we discard bad ideas and keep the good ones? And education is a huge part of that. And Mr. Clare was making me aware of that and give me permission as a student to think for myself, which is like the first time a teacher really did that. And from there I saw education as this great public good and like human right that just good people should get into.
Love it. That is so well said. And the best part about it is that so many teachers, when you ask them the question, what brought you to teaching, they'll say another teacher. Like, it's because another teacher made an impact. And that's the thing. I always say we as teachers go with our students the rest of our lives, and we'll make an impact whether we want to or not. So it's up to us whether it's a good one.
Certainly is.
Okay, now tell us, okay, what grade level do you teach? I think you said middle school, correct?
7th and 8th grade. My first school, I went in thinking I was going to be an 8th grade U.S. history teacher. I was told on the first day in the building that actually you're a 7th grade co-taught geography teacher.
Okay.
I said, okay, great. And I did that role. And then I was able to teach U.S. history. I did both at the same time at one point. And so I ended out my career as a U.S. history teacher.
Oh my gosh, to get caught up with like randomly being co-teaching is
Yes, that was so like my first year in teaching, COVID happens, right? So then I got to learn about distance education and synchronous, asynchronous learning, e-learning, all of that stuff. And then I moved from a rural school district. So I did 3 years at a really rural school district on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I'm originally from Western Pennsylvania. Kind of wanted to, go out of the way, go somewhere I don't know, right? And I didn't know a school that had cornfields on 4 sides. So let's do that. And after 3 years, I was like, okay, I'm driving an hour to work. I'm teaching at this school. I think I have a good, feel for this school. Then I switched to a school in South Baltimore, a little closer to home, because I was living in Annapolis. And I got that kind of more urban school, which they have very different contexts and needs, the urban and rural school districts.
Oh,
and
definitely.
It helps you notice a lot more like the broader project of education. Like when people generalize what teachers need, it overlooks a lot of the context dependent factors. I mean, what a teacher needs really varies depending on where that teacher is, depending on the needs of the students, depending on the teachers the students had prior to that teacher, right? The needs vary.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the thing is like a good teacher can see the differences and how you have to be varied and so that's awesome. Like I totally get what you mean. I used to teach in PG County, Maryland, and now I teach in a suburban school area more so. And so it's like, it's a huge difference.
Yes.
Okay, well, tell us this. All right, so what brought you guys to doing Eduaide?
Like I said, I moved to Maryland to start teaching, and I was at my first school on the Eastern Shore of Maryland where I met Thomas Hummel. He was the science teacher across the hall from me. I got mistaken as him before I met him like a lot. A lot of people were like, "Oh, what's up, Hummel?" And I'm like, "Who is this Hummel guy you guys keep talking about?" But a couple of white dudes with mustaches named Thomas, I guess we'll probably get mistaken quite a bit. And we're both from Western Pennsylvania, like 15 minutes from each other, but we never knew each other growing up. And like I said, COVID happened while my first year teaching, so we had a lot of kind of downtime between classes because you're not monitoring the halls for students, right? There's no kids in the building.
Keeping your distance.
Exactly. And Hummel and I were just on that new app Clubhouse at the time, which was like hot for 2 weeks. And on that app, there were a lot of great conversations with different educators around the country, which is kind of exactly what you needed at a time when everyone is isolated. And just thinking a lot about the profession. I started graduate school, started studying open educational resources and thinking about building a platform for the sharing of those. And it was right around that time that Thomas Hummel was like, "Hey, man, I started playing with this tool, ChatGPT. It's pretty cool. It can ask you can ask it to do different like teacher related tasks like create a lesson plan or do a worksheet, etc." And I was like, all right, this is cool, but it's not really the user interface that a teacher wants when like planning a lesson, right? I have my docs, I have my folders, I have my drive, I have to share materials. So being locked in this chatbot format really didn't seem like it was useful for me as a teacher. So we
Right.
said, well, let's start putting AI in the UI that a teacher would want to interact with. And that's where Eduaide came from. Let's make AI more accessible for teachers, but also lower that learning curve of getting on the tool and kind of constrain the tool within evidence-based parameters. So when a teacher gets something, they know that what they're getting is aligned with not just factual accuracy, which is like huge with AI, and that's a
Yeah.
large concern of people, but also like instructional best practices. So ensuring that your unit plan has deliberate, distributed practice through time and gives you a protocol for bringing in new material and like interleaving it into the practice, and then practice tests throughout, like making sure that you constrain these things within those kind of evidence-based principles is really our top task.
Well, and it's so evident too in like the usability of Eduaide.
I'm
Like
glad.
it's so conducive to what a teacher needs. And for those of you who don't know what Eduaide is, I'm going to show you real quick, just a quick overview, guys. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully it works. Let's see what happens. If you are watching this um, by what's the word? YouTube, then you can definitely see what I'm saying. If you are not watching this by YouTube or Facebook and you're just listening, you may want to go check out the YouTube version of this. Okay. So guys, this is what Eduaide looks like. It is the coolest thing ever. If you are a teacher and you have not explored Eduaide, you are missing. You are missing out. I'm telling you guys, it is so user friendly. You guys definitely just literally hop on. It literally is Eduaide. And for those of you who are listening and can't see, it's Eduaide.AI. Look it up. I promise you, you won't regret it. Okay, I just wanted to share and show just a little bit. Okay, all right. So, hey, it's a great transition. Okay, all right, Mr. Thompson, could you tell us some top tips for using AI in the classroom?
Yeah. Well, like we were getting at earlier, what's going to work for folks teaching is going to vary by where they're teaching, what they're teaching, when, who, all the factors that go in, like all their contextual factors are going to mediate everything I say. So with that in place, I would say start small, right? You get all of this, you get just social media just hammers you over the head. You got to get in now before you're going to miss out, and it's going to widen gaps if you don't adopt now. And then we hear that the bubble's over and AI tools aren't useful. And the case is somewhere in the middle. It's not going to save the day and make your life, 20 times easier. And I don't think that should be the goal either. But it does do some interesting things that can lend themselves to solving some basic problems in the classroom. So that's the first step I would suggest for all teachers. Strip away the technology and don't say, what AI tool can I use because AI tools are out there? What problem do I want to solve? And what tools will help me solve that problem? And if you think AI might be one of those tools, then explore it, right? Or just explore AI so you know it's there as one of those possible tools that you can use.
True.
Would I say that I think student-facing AI is all the way there yet? No, I would be very cautious about bringing any kind of student-facing platform in your class right now. As we saw with Los Angeles Unified School District and their partnership with All Here, building their chatbot that just kind of failed, went up in the wind. That's kind of the worry, right? When you then entrust a company with a lot of your personally identifiable information of your student body and your staff and families, because they have contact information and things like that. So that's definitely a big no-no. There's still like these black box elements to AI where you're not exactly sure how what happens. And like even people who are self-proclaimed experts will also say that as well, which is that at some point we understand how it works, but we're not very sure how it works in the way that it does, right? And that's interesting, and also a point of caution, which is why you shouldn't go like throwing a bunch of personally identifiable information in there.
True.
I see things around like digital clones and none of that. I wouldn't upload all your personally identifiable information to an AI bot just yet.
Right.
Focusing on like a specific use case. Like I know that I'm going to be teaching X topic and I'm not sure exactly how to approach it. It's a great brainstorming partner. I think it dramatically lowers the cost of exploration. You can explore different methods, techniques, and ideas that you previously wouldn't have considered because maybe you didn't have the time to do it over the course of your planning. So time's limited. You got to get to something useful quick as a teacher. So you don't want to waste your time like having to go through and explore line by line all of these different tools and reading the documentation, although I would highly suggest that you should. I understand that's unrealistic for most of us. So a great place to start, like I said, is strip it all away. Ask, what problem do I want to solve? If AI happens to be maybe a tool you want to use to solve a problem, think about that, right? Think about that use case and how you want to go about using it. And then do like a small measured adoption, see how it affects your practice. If you like what happened, of course, proofread the material. This is why I hate when people say AI is going to save you so much time. To a point, that's true. It's kind of a virtue of itself. It generates
Yeah.
things in 10 seconds, right? But there is a level of due diligence that a teacher has to do before
Yeah.
allowing AI generated content to go to their students. Now, on Eduaide, we try to mitigate a lot of those risks by, making the resources really small so you kind of can track AI responses over time and see if you can, I would say, limit the likelihood of hallucinations, which are AIs giving you something that is inaccurate.
Right.
We can get into that a little bit more, why teachers might think that's a worry and why I don't think that would go away necessarily over time. But all in all, I would say AI is a very effective tool, because I'm already rambling.
Yeah.
It has very specific use cases around, thought partnership, helping you draft different templates for documents, streamlining a lot of those repetitive tasks. I would urge teachers, look really closely at your day and like how you go about it. And if you find yourself kind of doing these repetitious tasks or spending a lot of time staring at the cursor, I want you in those moments think about how AI might assist you, because I think that's where a lot of the interesting uses will reveal themselves.
Truth. And Thomas, what I really want to do is, like, if you like you were saying, like they choose a topic and then they go from there to break it down. I really want to take an opportunity
Mhm.
and just show them. I'm going to pull it up now. I just want to show them just how simple and user friendly you guys have made Eduaide. So if you are a teacher and you're paying attention here, guys, at the top, if you see here, I'm in the generator tab. So the initial tab, and let's say a lesson plan, lesson seed, if you may, whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it. So say if you're teaching science and you're teaching, I don't know, 5th grade. Okay, so here is where you select your subject area. I'm not subject area. I'm sorry. You select your grade level, and over here you select your subject area. And the best part about Eduaide is they have career in tech, which works for people like me who teach CTE courses.
Mhm.
But say if you're picking science in 5th grade and you go to lesson seed, okay, and you're going to scroll down here to the bottom, and say if you were covering, I don't know what is the plant. I don't know. I don't know
Well,
anything
we
about.
show this one first. We just added a new thing here. I think you will think is pretty cool.
Okay, so say if we said the plant, what is it? The plant diagram or the plant process? I forget how it is. Anyway, so if you say the plant about plants, so the plant diagram, right? And I click add to workspace. Once I click add to workspace, it creates a lesson plan here on the right, and it breaks it down into these different segments
Mhm.
to help you with your lesson plans. Now, say if you wanted to create a rubric for something or engage, guys, this stuff is endless.
Could
Like,
we dial in here for a second? There's some
yeah,
interesting things I think we can highlight. So
sure.
one is, plant diagram is it's a vague topic, right? We just kind of spitballed it here on the
Yeah, I
line.
just randomly put
So
something in here, guys.
a teacher might have that though while they're teaching, right? You just have a vague notion of what you're doing. I'm doing this thing, I'm not exactly sure. If you scroll down here, you will
Okay.
see that there's on the content generator tab in the middle there, you'll see that enhance button there.
Yes.
So that takes those few basic keywords and that will translate it into a student learning objective. So now instead of the plant diagram, it's going to say like students will identify and label the parts of the plant diagram, including the roots, stem, leaves, and flowers, while explaining the function of each part of the plant's life cycle.
That's what it calls the plant life cycle. That's what I was trying to say.
So you can take those things. It's like I know I know it's this thing maybe, and you have this enhance button that's going to complete that, and then again help you on the way to aligning it, because now your content won't be so vague. It's going to be much more focused. And then that little
Exactly.
search magnifying glass there
Right
next to
here.
the enhance button, that'll allow you to search and then input specific national standards into your topic to then create aligned content there. So Common Core English Language Arts, Common Core Mathematics, NGSS for science, and then the National Council of Social Studies standards for social studies. And then when you click one of those, it will inject that right into your topic bar alongside your context to get you even more closely aligned content.
Wow. That's amazing.
So then it's going to take that lesson seed you just made there,
Uh-huh.
and where you have like a few things about like, labeled plant diagram there. Now the new lesson plan with this updated context is going to be much deeper. It's going to involve developing a model, which is what you had there in the standards text.
That is amazing. And guys, that's just the generator.
Yeah, that was one tool.
and literally just the planning section, not the information objects, the independent practice. Like, there's so many things here. My favorite is gamification. I love the gamification tab because of the fact that, like, I don't know about you guys, I love making Jeopardy, but this does it for you. I love like playing games with the kids. This will do it for you. Word
and
search.
it'll do the formatting, but like on our tool, then we encourage you to hit the edit button in the upper right hand corner, and then you can just dive in and add more columns yourself. So it's not like the AI is never doing everything on our site. It's doing like 25% of the work, and then the teacher's able to do a lot more of this kind of fine-tuning stuff if they want to dive in. The idea here is we want it to be personalized to that teacher and just give that teacher all the different tools they may need in the course of planning a lesson, but focusing it in very like narrow resources so that the teacher can stack them and create something unique to them. So it's not like it's going to create a whole lesson. It'll create parts of a lesson that you stack and sequence together. Like a music producer will take samples and put the samples in order to create the beat, right? You're sequencing these learning objects together to create the lesson, sample by sample.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And now, like, I don't know if you guys missed it when we put in the standard here and I clicked add to workspace. I forgot to scroll down, but here is where it took the standard and broke it down even further here. And then below that, as you can tell, I selected word search based on the standard that we clicked on, and it created a word search from common vocabulary within that subject area. So guys, I mean, that content. So guys, literally it's an amazing tool. I cannot stress it enough how much Eduaide has helped me. And not just me, other teachers at my school as well. So I just wanted to kind of show everybody about it. Now, there are other features here. Now, Thomas, if you had to say, what was one of your favorite features here? One that you really want to highlight?
I love the feedback bot.
Okay.
That's my favorite tool. So this is where you would input a student writing sample, write an essay that they write. If you go to the generator real quick, you'll be able to make a essay with mistakes. The idea is that we have students grade it, but we can use that for our feedback for this demonstration. So if you click on independent practice, you'll see essay revision. If you scroll down, then hit add the workspace for that.
And guys, whenever you add to workspace, this here on the right is the workspace, and you can just scroll down to get the latest thing that you have. And I will show you later where you can find this. It does not go away.
Yeah, it goes to your history. You're able to minimize the tabs too, so it's a little more organizable. We just did that standards update, but the next one will have this drag and drop, so you'll be able to move the cards in order and then sequence them together. But anyway, so if you copy that text, we can paste that into the feedback bot and get a feel for it.
Whoops!
Thank you for sharing this, by the way.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so just the essay itself or the title included?
Just the essay, because that's kind of like the work-specific thing.
Okay, so guys, if your students had an essay and say this was Google Docs or Word, I'm copying the essay, Command C, obviously for Mac, but Control C for anything else. And then I'm going to go back over here to the left on the feedback bot, and then I'm going to paste it here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I've pasted.
So let's imagine, student wrote an essay on photosynthesis. So there are 3 different stock feedback reports that we give you, which is typographic feedback that's going to go into basic spelling and grammar, right? That's nice for, this allows you kind of to be able to differentiate the feedback you give to students. If you have students who are working on specific like vocabulary and grammar skills, but then you also have students at the other end who are kind of really focusing on argumentation and like sequence of ideas, then you're able to scale that feedback. So then we have our semantic feedback, which gets into argumentation, logic, reasoning, rhetorical skills, and then syntactical feedback, which is like deep writing mechanics. That's going to get into sentence structure, punctuation, grammar, the overall cohesion of the piece. And then custom feedback is where a teacher can bring in their own rubric. And then an AI will provide like specialized feedback comments on the student's work based on your rubric. And in some cases, it's graded based on your grading criteria in the rubric, but we've kind of instructed it only to do constructive, formative feedback. So that's not really like a feature that we highlight. But if you hit typographic, you'll see that we get just high level line by line, or any of them, whatever one you like.
Okay, so guys,
I
I'm
like the semantic. That's my favorite, but typographic's pretty neat for spelling and grammar.
okay, so guys, I'm going to click typographic here, and then I'm going to add it to my workspace. I'm going to scroll down, and here we go. Here's my feedback report to break down the errors, et cetera, that my student, oh my gosh, this is so killer. From grammatical issues to typographic errors, et cetera.
And the nice thing is, so it will, so what's good feedback, right? So good feedback is timely, which a lot of teachers struggle to do because if you have 120 students writing an essay, you have like a weekend to give up to go through all of this. It takes a while. It's quite a few hours of work. And if you try to do it during your work day, then you're giving up the time you have for planning because you're spending it giving feedback on essays. So, I mean, admittedly, we want to give good feedback, but oftentimes teachers don't give the highest level of feedback that they would ideally like to give. They give the best they can given the constraints of time and just sheer number of essays that they have to go through, right? So we do the best we can. Yes. But with this here, we're able to go in line by line and give students that high level feedback more quickly because we're able to generate these reports 30 seconds at a time and export them, right? So that cuts down the time aspect. That's one piece. The second is that feedback is also specific. So it should give very specific points line by line, which this does. It'll go into it'll kind of give the phrase, the sentence where the student makes the error, and then it'll give the suggestion for improvement. And that takes me to the third piece. It should be actionable. And we have an entire section in our feedback reports that will always say actionable steps for improvement, what you can do piece by piece, step by step to improve your writing in a meaningful way, addressing the errors that student made, not errors and like gaps on the rubric or things like that, but actually personalized to where that student is in their prior knowledge, targeting that area where they can grow and then giving them steps to improve it. That might be they make consistent errors with comma splicing or something like that. We focus on that in the feedback. And then there's positive, right? So feedback should not just be like, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did no. You want to give the students constructive feedback so that they can develop and feel good about it while they're doing it and not feel like shamed of the work they have done up to that point. So it'll always include positive reinforcement as well. So timely, actionable, specific, and positive, which are really the 4 pillars for us. And that's how we build this bot. Okay. And it'll give references. Sorry. It'll also give references to where the student could go. Like, hey, reference this style manual. So like you're writing an APA or you're writing in Chicago, or some of the things I did inject into the prompt out of my own like tastes, because this is our stock rubric. Use your own rubric if you don't want my taste in there, but it's going to like reference the art of style, the elements of style by Strunk and White, which I think is an overlooked writing guide. It helped me tremendously. And then of course it'll give tools like Grammarly and suggestions around using spell check and things like that, but it'll give them like real citations to go look at this section of the Chicago Manual of Style or the APA style guide or things like that if you're getting into that deep level of writing,
which is awesome. And the thing is I someone had asked in the comments if we could type the website in the chat, which I did. It's Eduaide.Ai, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So guys, that gives you the website. For those of you who are listening via podcast, guys, this is definitely one of these episodes that I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel and pull up the live so that you can see exactly what we're talking about. You can go to my YouTube live. I mean, not my YouTube live. You can go to my YouTube videos and pull up the live, or you guys can go to Facebook and pull up Leslie Rob Comedy, and this video will be there as well, because I want you guys to be able to use this to help you in your classroom, because I'm telling you guys it makes such a difference. Is there anything else you wanted to cover while we have it open?
I mean, the feedback bot is cool for some of the reasons I went into. I like to nerd out about student writing and argumentation. You highlighted gamification, which I really like. It's something that I think we are going to be able to improve on, because there is a difference between gamification and like game-based instruction. And we want to do some more stuff, more interesting work around game-based instruction, but that might be a separate platform altogether. There's a lot you can do there, and a lot of interesting things teachers should be aware of in the future around implementing games into the classroom, right? Because it's not as obvious as it should. We like to use games to review material a lot, but the more interesting game is the one where, by the virtue of winning that game, the student demonstrates mastery of some objective, right? So you tie the learning objective directly to the outcome of the game. And that's something that we're trying to build. Like we're looking at the role-playing games as one of our things. So like the student takes on a specific role and acts out in a specific way given that role. And then hopefully in doing so, they demonstrate mastery in the specific objective that that game is tied to. So the win state of the game is tied to the learning objective of the classroom. That's not something that we do a lot in games and classrooms because I use it a lot too. You know, I used Kahoot to review as well. I used Blookits in the classroom too. Like I get the appeal for engagement and for motivation of using review games, and they are useful tools in most cases. But I think there's a lot of room for ed tech companies and just kind of resource providers in general to do a better job of making more interesting games and simulations. Like we know kids play a lot of video games these days. We know there's a lot of, kind of game-based environments out there where you can do learning, but again, it's mostly geared towards review, and there's much more interesting games out there, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, Reba Diaz says, good Lord, this kicks ass, and I need another year to learn this stuff. Thanks, Leslie. Well, we are glad you're here, Reba. Now, here's the thing, guys. Like, this may be a little complex in the sense of way that we're explaining it because of the fact that obviously this is a podcast and we don't have a hour-long PD like the ones that I usually do to explain and break down Eduaide and all the different sectors. But definitely feel free to reach out to Eduaide.Ai, guys. I'm telling you, their customer service is killer, and they will help you guys out. And I'm also I don't know what you would call me, but I'm a huge supporter and advocate of Eduaide.Ai. So you could also reach out to me at leslierob.com. That's my email. So if you definitely need help with that as well. But I cannot encourage you enough. However, I know that there is always somebody who is a bit apprehensive about using AI. So could you address that for us, Thomas? Any encouragement for teachers apprehensive about using AI?
Well, first I would say some apprehensiveness is a good thing, right? We should be skeptical of the technology we bring into the classroom. I may have been relatively new to education, but I've been in schools for a long time to know enough that there are tech adoptions that maybe were, I don't know, misguided, like the smart board that collects dust because they never gave the teacher the training on like all of the different affordances of that technology, but it's just like we'll use it as a projector or we won't use it at all. Like there's a lot of like cool ways of interacting with that you don't get if you don't do proper training. Right. Or we've also seen just like full on just throwing social media out into the world has done some harm as well as maybe some good. I'm not exactly, we were talking about this before the show. I'm not sure how much good, but maybe some good, right? Staying up with your uncle after his surgery on Facebook is probably a good thing, but seeing your uncle's political views, maybe not so much. So that's kind of like the give and take. And I think with this technology, the effects will be more pronounced, but also like AIs can make mistakes in very subtle ways, all right? Hallucinations, if you're asking an AI to do something out of its capabilities, and its capabilities are not always clear, right? It can write a graduate level essay on philosophy of mind if you give it enough context and details, but it also can't do some like basic math problems at the same time. It's like, it's not clear what it's really good at and what it can't do. So breaking things down into the smallest possible task and approaching it slowly is probably good advice. But yeah, being apprehensive, asking those questions and having conversations about the technology is probably the best step towards a good adoption. You don't want to rush in. So I think those apprehensive teachers are they have the right impulse, but you don't want to, at the same time, just ignore it like it's not going to have an effect on human learning and interaction with knowledge, because it totally will.
For sure.
But understanding what that means for your classroom might take some time, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, I concur on that. Like it's good to be apprehensive and a little on, like a little guarded. And then, but I think like for most people, when I've taught this at a PD, when I've taught Eduaide at a PD, most of them are like mind blown by the end, and they're like, "Wait, what just happened?" And then that kind of like, they see, "Hey, I come in peace," So
yeah,
there's
a lot you have to do.
I'm sorry, say that again.
There's a lot you have to do to overcome like years of Hollywood telling us that like AI is the Terminator and stuff. Like there's a lot of throwing around these terms like because AI is an old field. It goes back to the 1950s. So we have a lot of preconceived notions of what AI can be or is or should be, but most of those aren't based on the current technology, which are large language models. We don't really have a good mental model for understanding those right now. So yeah, I think you shouldn't just discount it out of hand. Give it a
Yeah.
chance because the technology really does have some interesting uses. But it's knowing when and where appropriate.
Yeah, well, it's definitely appropriate for me. I'm telling you.
I hear you.
I'm just saying. I wanted to point this out, guys, and I meant to share this while I had it up the first time, and I'm gonna share it again. The part here at the top that I want you guys to emphasize and to see. I mean, I want to emphasize and help you guys see is that this is appropriate for all grade levels. Because some people were asking in one of my sessions, they were like, "So is this like for elementary? Is this for middle?" I said, "No, this is literally across the spectrum. So it's like preschool all the way through college level students. This can be
So
applicable to."
click on like first grade.
Okay.
So as you can see, the resources change. So there's different things that you can select based on the grade level you're teaching to be more grade appropriate. So there's the planning stuff won't change because teachers are all doing kind of high level planning, but like
Uh-huh.
information objects or independent practice, those will tend to get smaller as you get into lower
Wow.
and lower grades.
Ooh, I
So
love the
you're
Mad Lib option.
exactly. So for first grade, you'll have Mad Lib or word recognition or like the main idea of like a 2 sentence thing or just the structure of sentences or some more basic activities that are getting at literacy, numeracy, agency skills as opposed to the higher level stuff which you'll get into when you get to high school and things like that. So yeah, if you click around on the site, different subjects have different resources, different grades have different resources. We don't throw every single resource at a teacher like some platforms do because AI is pretty overwhelming as it is.
Yeah.
But we don't want to blunt the technology so it's not effective. So you got to balance it, right? And that's you want to give a lot, but not too much. And you also want to provide people with freedom. So you can go to like chat, for example, on our tool, and then you're just interacting with your basic chat, like on Chat GPT. Well, it is GPT. That's the chatbot you're interacting with on our chat.
Well, and that's the thing I wanted to show too. I wanted to show, first of all, that, like I said, it covers all grade levels, but also all of the subject areas that it covers. But then, guys, because what a lot of the teachers asked me, they were like, "Well, when I use," they said that they use Chat GPT and Eduade. I'm like, no, because see, what they don't realize, guys, is over here on the left there is the chat feature, so you don't even have to go outside of the Eduade platform to even get to Chat GPT. So it's right here on the left and under chat. So literally, this is I don't know, for me, it's a time saver. It's a game changer, especially for career and tech, because believe it or not, a lot of the AI stuff usually doesn't cover career and tech, but it does cover our subject area, which is amazing in my opinion. So
the chat gets integrated into so for those who are listening and not watching, it is a tough episode, admittedly, but
yeah.
So it's really like 3 window panes, right? So on the far left-hand side, you have all of our tools, which are our content generator, our assistant, which is like administrative stuff, feedback bot, chat, assessment builder, which is assessment item by assessment item, and then your history where everything you've made gets saved. And then in the
this is where
middle,
everything gets saved, guys.
and then in the middle window pane are the specific resources and tools that you can use to create things. That's where you kind of do the work. Far right side, it's what we call cards, right? Because they kind of look like a little card, right? It's not like a full document. That's where everything you generate goes. You can collapse them, you can regenerate them. There's this transform button, so you can it's the little rocket ship there, and you can literally transform something into Spanish right on the page and not have to leave. You can increase or decrease the reading level, you can summarize it, you can chunk the text. So a lot of options for differentiation and personalization there. So extracting keywords for students, providing headings for different text elements, summarizing that text into like smaller passages, or just creating an answer key for something that you already have. Those cards exist, and the copy button will allow you to like take all the text from the card, lock the formatting, and then if you go over to chat, for example, you could like say create a chart. Like just type in create a chart for this and then paste in what you copied. And then it'll take that card that you gave it, and then it will, or just provide it. Oh, there it is. And then it'll like change it into a graph or a chart for you. You can ask the chat to do different things. So like maybe you have a worksheet already. you could take that worksheet, bring it into Eduade, because there's that insert new card at the top right-hand corner, and you bring in that material you already have. You can then take that into the chat and ask it to do all kinds of different things, create an anchor chart out of it, create a multiple choice question on it. You can bring that into the Eduade workspace. Then you can create follow-up suggested assignments on top of it. So there's a lot of things you can do where the app speaks to itself in like different parts, which I think gives a more cohesive experience, because you never have to leave your work that you're making. Like you never have to click on, I want this tool, and then fill in all this context, then hit generate, and then go to another page, and then you then get your material, right? Everything is there if you want it.
Which is so cool. And guys, and this is something the other day, I'm not going to even lie, I cannot exaggerate. And they're not paying me to say this. I'm just being honest. We were in our, pre-opening of school PD, our back to school PD, and we were told like that day that we had to have a curriculum map. We were like, wait, what? So one of the teachers took our stuff from the state requirements, the competencies, put it into the chat feature and said, make this a curriculum map. Boom, it did it for us. So like literally, and like Thomas said, it's not foolproof where you're like not going to have to go through and check, but it does give you the skeleton that you need. And if not, I don't even want to say skeleton, because to me it's got skeleton and some meat on the bones.
Yeah.
For you to go through and perfect it the way that you'd like.
I mean, a lot of things AI does at the level of like a graduate student. So like, I'll take the writing of someone going for a PhD or an MA most any day.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to be of much higher quality than something I would have generated like as a freshman in college, or even when I was first coming in as a teacher, right? So like my own writing is a thing that improves with time, and having the AI companion to suggest different ways of phrasing things has been a helpful tool for me in my teaching practice on Eduade and some of the other tools. I don't only use Eduade. I did use it a lot when I was teaching, but I use Perplexity a lot. They're not paying me to say that either. It's just a tool I like to use a lot. And if I'm going to shout them out, I will. Google kind of sucks these days as a search engine. Like I get 20 sponsored links, and then I have a bad AI overview, and then I have like 2 more links, and then I'm on the next page already somehow. And like I didn't get anything
what just
useful.
happened?
Perplexity is a great site because it summarizes a lot of that information for you, and it's like an AI search engine. So it'll provide the AI generated response with footnotes, so you can actually go to the websites that it's referencing and fact check it yourself, but also it gives you like the top 20 results as opposed to a bunch of sponsored results.
Oh, wow. Game changer in a sense, that too.
For sure.
Nice.
It's a great app. It's the one I do end up shelling out the $20 a month for AI tools. Like I told myself I was not going to do that for Claude or for GPT. Fortunately, I get access to all those because of what we do at Eduade, but Perplexity is the one I'll pay for.
I hear you.
Outside of Eduade, I'd pay for Eduade if I wasn't the creator for it.
Yeah, you're like, I technically kind of covered. So
yeah.
Well, guys, I definitely want you guys to definitely follow Eduaide.Ai on all social media platforms. And for those of you who are asking for the website, it's Eduaide.Ai. Literally, it's in the name. So definitely check it out, guys. It is only $5.99. That's it. $5.99 a month. But you do get 15 initial, like if you're like me, you're like, I want to try this out first and make sure I like it. Well, the best part about it is you get 15, I guess you could say free tries, or 15 different things that you can generate under the generation option or generator option that we talked about. But you can use the entire site, up to 15 generations of it, before it prompt you to pay either the $5.99 a month or $49.99 for the year, guys. I cannot even exaggerate. $49.99 for the full year. And it's totally worth every penny. I was in Montana for visiting my friends this summer a couple weeks ago, and I showed them just to be like, guys, this is such a game changer, because my friend who teaches 5th grade, he is constantly having to stay up late grading essays and putting feedback essays. I showed him the feedback bot and he was instantly sold. He's like, that alone is going to save me time in just writing feedback. So like Thomas said, guys, definitely check it out, but use what works for you. You have to, like he said, it's supposed to be personal. So find how it works for you. Each of us have our own, reasoning or our own, I guess you could say, method to the madness and using Eduade. We all have our go-tos. So you will find and establish your go-to as well. So I cannot encourage you enough. For those of you who are listening by podcast, I am so sorry that you but definitely check out the episode visually on Facebook or YouTube. But tomorrow it will be on all podcast networks, on all channels, whatever, via podcast tomorrow morning. And if you guys don't have podcasts, but you still want to just hear the audio and listen, you can go to lesliesaidwhat.com. However, the video version will always be available on Facebook under Leslie Rob Comedy. It'll be available immediately after this episode, but it'll also be there forever. Or you can go to YouTube and look it up there under my lives, and it'll pop up there as well. Thomas, any closing remarks?
No, I think we covered on most things. I will say, I think the key takeaway for most teachers when it comes to using AI this year is don't feel like you should use AI this year just because AI tools are being talked about everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Use it if it makes sense. As Leslie said, right? You want to use it to solve a problem in your classroom if you have one. If you feel like you got it dialed in, then you got it dialed in, right? No tech is going to help you, right? If you're killing it, you're killing it. And an AI is not going to, maybe it could help you do things a little bit more, right? Differentiate something more quickly than you would be able to. So it could save you some time on that. But at the end of the day, it should really be thought of as a way to solve problems. I mean,
and that's exactly what it does. Yeah.
I'm glad that comes through.
Because I know one of y'all's points is that it's to reduce teacher burnout. And it has literally been vital for me and several of my friends that I've introduced it to. So we do thank you guys for doing this. So thank you.
Of course. I mean, we're happy to do it. And outside of I know we talked about the paid subscription and all of that, but if a teacher ever has like economic circumstances such that they can't access the platform, we have a scholarship program. Sorry, there it is. Just reach out to us, send us an email, tell us what's going on, and we've granted 100% of those requests. So we never want cost to be a barrier to meaningful educational materials, right? My background's in open educational resources, and it's always felt wrong to me to put good stuff for teachers behind paywalls that teachers can't themselves access. Great point. We have the price. We got to keep the lights on somehow and run the thing. I mean, but we do have the scholarship program. Like I said, we grant 100% of those requests. So if teachers feel like they want to try it out more than what we offer through our free trial, please just let us know. And we're happy to grant that, because access to high quality educational materials is just as vital as access to education is.
100%. 100%. And so guys, I didn't even know about the scholarship program, but that is amazing. So if it's something that you do want to try and it's something that you're like, look, I can't afford that. Like he said, definitely reach out. He said it grants 100% of the scholarship. So definitely reach out. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for taking time to be here. We really appreciate it. And I know everybody even Miss Diaz was definitely letting us know how much she was grateful. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You as well.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, that was Mr. Thompson, the co-founder and co-CEO of Eduaide.Ai. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed being here. For those of you who are like, oh my gosh, I got to tell my teacher bestie, or oh my gosh, I got to tell my teacher tribe, or my school, or my district, definitely share. It's only fair. Will be available via all podcast channels tomorrow. Like I said, definitely show them the visual version, because they're gonna be like, wait, what now? What's going on? Via YouTube or Facebook. Either way, guys, thank you again for being here, and have a great rest of your night. Leslie Said What, season 5, episode 3 is out.